Hi, X. I am really spooked and confused by this, and I'm hoping you can help me out. Today I was checking home security camera photos. It takes a picture every time the motion sensor is triggered, and I came across this. WTF is it? I showed it to my wife and she got really freaked out. I don't know what to think, maybe it's an injured animal of some kind. I also have a motion sensor light installed, so that is why there's a light on. What do you think? This was taken just before. Almost looks like a dog that was moving fast. Exactly how many seconds/minutes between the pics? The shadow on the car disturbs me. It's not there in the OP, so it's definitely a different time of day. Some other light source was involved, or sees tiny ball of light in second pic, too perfect just to be a reflection. GTFO, that house OP, leave and never look back. I don't know what it is, but it can't be good. Maybe it has a high shutter speed, so there shouldn't be much motion blur, and I don't know any dog with a silhouette like that. Probably less than 10 seconds, they were taken right after each other. The shadow on the car is different because of the motion triggered light by my front door. Wide angle lens curving on the edges. It's a crow. I see two paws and a bushy tail. Dog was the only thing I could think of. If that's not it, I'm not sure. Is your property fenced in? Yeah, that could be a tail, maybe a giant raccoon. The fence stretches around my whole property, it has no holes and the gates were closed, so I doubt a dog could have gotten in. Do you have any normal snapshots of the area you could upload, just for comparison? Security cams are so low res. It's just a bird taking off towards the general direction of the camera. This is the result of 1,000 hours in MS Paint with a Photoshop noise filter applied over it. This post immediately caught our eye. We have to deal with a lot of speculation when it comes to 4chan posts since a lot of them lack anything other than text, but this one came with receipts. The photo at first glance is pretty unsettling, but I found myself questioning whether or not it's the picture or the text right underneath it telling me it's creepy. The photo is sort of bare bones, but with the backstory it definitely warrants some sort of investigation. Like we read, a lot of the comments have their own theories, a crow, a dog, a supernatural beast, or just complete fabrication, and nothing is there at all. I'm not a camera expert, but I don't personally believe the creature was added in post. The one thing I'm uncertain about is how out of place it looks that could warrant the fabrication theory. The black blur is such a deep black and contrasts very strangely to the rest of the photo. My first inclination is something that someone already pointed out, that it's probably a dog moving too fast for the camera to catch. The OP says the property is very well fenced in and is very sure it's not a dog, but he didn't seem 100% sure that it couldn't have been. It's just strange that the camera captured it in such a deep black color regardless of the lighting and shutter speed. Another commenter is extremely certain it's a crow, and I know crows can get massive, and the commenter even singled it out and turned the contrast down, but I have no doubt that it's absolutely not a crow. This isn't necessarily a real theory, but this whole thread reminds me of the Rorschach test. You show a bunch of different people a black blot and they create their own story. I might be crazy, but genuinely the first thing I saw was an alligator. I know it isn't, but come on, look at the hands and the tail at the back. It looks like a thick alligator tail. I guess this is exactly what I was talking about with the Rorschach test. Even I made up my own ludicrous story. At the end of this, it's hard to say, but I'm fairly certain that it has to be a raccoon or a dog despite OP's stance on the matter. For our next post, unfortunately I can't show you a lot of it by itself, and we'll have to rely on describing some of the more gruesome aspects. When we work on 4chan videos, one of the hardest things is genuinely just finding posts. We get a lot from the paranormal board, but the true needle in a haystack is B, the random board. If you've watched any of our deep dives before, you are surely familiar with it. It genuinely is the random board and contains the most deplorable things on the entire site, filled with not safe for work content, horribly racist posts, just all around the horrible stuff 4chan can be known for. It's always the hardest board to find anything worth talking about, but while going through the archives on the random board, we found something absolutely disgusting. The post is just a picture of someone's toe with a piece of paper that says B on it and the date, so we know it's genuine. Underneath the picture is text that simply says, "Dubs decide what I do." And underneath that, the text says, "Chop off the toe." The OP moves pretty fast after this decision and posts another picture with his toe being strangled by what looks like a hair tie saying, Cutting off circulation may take some time. The next picture gets increasingly worse. It's the OP's toe still with the tie around it, but in the background is a small hatchet and a bucket of ice in a bathtub. Our final image is exactly what the comments were asking for. The OP's toe is mutilated, bone protruding out, and there's still that piece of paper proving it's 100% real. The picture is difficult to look at. I've seen some crazy things during my time on the internet, and yet this still sends a shiver down my spine. The rest of the posts are very 4chan-centric reaction images to what just happened. A lot of people in utter shock that the OP actually went through with it. This is exactly the type of thing that 4chan can be known for, but the odds that you will actually find it are slim to none. So when people hype up the disgusting stuff you can find here, just know that you're more likely to see adult videos before you see anything like this. As far as the OP, we never heard from him again. The bucket of ice in the picture makes me think that he may have put his butchered toe on ice and immediately went to the hospital to get it stitched back on. I have no idea what could have happened, but no matter what, this entire thread just screams 4chan and even more just the B-board in general. I had this experience happen to me in my home city on a proper hiking, biking, and rollerblading trail. It is paved and is lit up by light posts at nighttime. It stretches over 50 miles from town to town and is used often, especially during the day and around sections of the trail near populous neighborhoods and universities. There's even 2 golf courses along the ways. I have had a 50-pound weight gain over the last 2 years. It all started going downhill health-wise when my wife got pregnant and had a kid. I quit training in the gym, stopped eating healthy, and began drinking quite a bit of beer for some reason or another. After being heckled by my wife to get back into shape, I thought it would be a good idea to start walking off some pounds. Then evolves into jogging and running again. I never really liked jogging out in the open public, so I decided to use the trail I described in the opening. It's nice and quiet, and everyone is generally using it for the same purpose. My first night out, it started raining pretty hard. Luckily, I had a large umbrella in my trunk, so I didn't have to cancel my first day back into getting into shape. I planned to walk 30 minutes deep, then 30 minutes back to the car and call it a night. 5 minutes in, I see 2 joggers in the distance coming towards me. They were 2 Asian guys speaking in their language. They gave me a nod. They looked to be about 20, 23 years old, most likely local university guys, judging by the proximity I was to the school. As you walk down the trail, there's a long golf course on your left, and on your right is an industrial train track yard. 10 minutes in, you come to a bridge over a major highway. Once I got to the highway/bridge, there was no more tree coverage. It was windy and rainy as all hell. I could feel my umbrella pulling away from me. I had to hold it with 2 hands to cover the rain and to not lose it, period. Once I got past the bridge, it got calm again thanks to the tree coverage. I am now in a sort of old village area with houses on both sides. I peered in the lit windows as I walked by, seeing human life pop in and out, doing what they do. As I looked ahead on the trail, I see a tall, solid black figure that looked like the shape of a man, but it didn't look like your average man. I didn't stop walking, but kept my eyes on it. From my vantage point in distance, the guy or whatever it was looked quite big, maybe not so much in weight or muscle, but the height. Something in my gut was telling me this person or thing isn't normal. It's just standing there, barely lit by the light posts. It was a very dark figure. Its clothes appeared to be black. It looked like it was hooded, and it wasn't moving and almost standing off the side of the trail. Might I remind you, in the pissing rain at night. Part of me thought it was a bum, but then I started thinking in a paranoid type of thought. This would be the perfect atmosphere and time to kill someone and not get caught. It's dark, it's on a trail at night when it was very rainy, so there won't be many people at all. There's plenty of places to leave the body on the side of the trail. I basically convinced myself to turn back and head for the car. I wasn't in any mood to get into a confrontation with an odd figure or even a life struggle for that matter. I was about 20 minutes deep in the trail from my car at a quick walking pace. One thing I do a lot when I'm on these trails is look behind me every 30 seconds to a minute because a lot of bikers use them, and sometimes if you don't pay attention, they can startle you when they whiz by because they are quite quiet. This time I was looking back every 10 seconds because that person or thing had me a little bit shook. As I turned back, I peered back over my shoulder and it hadn't moved. That put a reassuring thought back in my head that it's probably just some bum or hippie. I looked back again 10 seconds later and it wasn't there, which kinda shocked me a bit. Where did it go? I kept walking at my normal pace. I looked back again and there was nothing. I continued on, looking back every now and again, not seeing it anymore. I got back to the bridge that goes over the highway. Cars were flying by in both directions, lighting up my bridge brightly. I looked back again as I got to the end of the bridge. At the foot of the bridge, just outside of the edge of the light posts emit, I see the tall black figure again. A warm jolt of electrified blood shoots up my neck and my hair stands up. I have that gut feeling of fight or flight. I feel as though I'm being followed, stalked, and even hunted. I decide to jog to my car. I'm about 10 minutes away. I start jogging at a brisk pace and look behind me as I start moving. The tall thing starts moving forward with long, stretched out strides. It appears to be wearing a duster of some sort and its head is covered by a hood. I switched gears and started moving a bit faster, feeling my lungs tightening and my knees aching because I'm way out of shape and this is my first time working out after 2 full years of sitting on my ass drinking beer. I turn again and I see it 3/4 over the bridge and its eyes are glowing from the reflection of the car lights on the highway. It appears its forehead is elongated. My adrenaline sac releases electric chemicals to my head and I move my legs as fast as I can move them. I decide not to look back anymore and I ditch my umbrella on the trail. I am running full tilt. I hear a whiz by my ear and my umbrella hits the ground 10 feet in front of me and I hear grunting behind me. I don't let up my speed and look behind me. This big thing is chasing me, but he's attempting a half-ass run. It almost appears injured. It is dragging one of its feet behind it. It's grunting with every stride, and those eyes are glowing like an animal's eyes when the light hits it. I'm gassed, but continue on. I see the parking lot in my car. I notice a group of reflective gear moving past the parking lot towards us. It is a group of joggers, and I feel a bit of hope. I don't hear the grunting anymore. I look behind me, and the thing is no longer there. I figure he must have jumped off the trail and headed on the golf course. The joggers caught up to me and I stopped them. Listen guys, I've been chased by a stalker for the last 5 minutes on this trail. He has been chasing me since the bridge by the highway. I think he just jumped on the golf course. I just want you guys to know in case something happens. I'm going to my car and going home. You okay, man? You want us to walk you to the car? No, it's okay. My car is just right here. Just be careful. Alright, we'll keep our eyes out. I get to my car and look around. I can't see it. I get in and start it up. I turn my lights on and start pulling ahead with the golf course ahead of me, and the exit of the lot to my left. I start hanging a left and see the figure on the course in the flash of my light. I get a good look at its face and it looks like some kind of deformed man. Its skin is pale as snow, almost sickly. Its forehead is long and wrinkly, its eyes large and empty, almost like cataract eyes, and a frizzy goatee under a hood. Scariest thing of all, it had a smile on its face like it got some kind of pleasure chasing me. I hit the gas and don't heed for the stop sign, I gun it. Looking in my rear view, I see nothing. I've never been to that trail or any other one similar again. I just train around my neighborhood now. Don't ask me WTF that was, but I was actually scared for my life. I drew a picture of the face and its appearance on the trail. These are very half-assed MS Paint sketches, but I want to give a somewhat accurate portrayal of what I seen. Hope you guys enjoyed my story I experienced. 4 hours on X and this is the best story yet. Stories on 4chan are difficult to describe. If you've seen one of these before, you know how hit or miss they can be. I think the picture at the bottom, as crude as it is, added to the creep factor. It reminds me of when I was a kid and would imagine scary creepypasta monsters and draw them and convince myself they were real. I don't know if anyone else did that, maybe I was just crazy. I don't have too much to say regarding the validity of this post, as with most 4chan stories, without a picture it's almost impossible to tell. It's a lot more atmospheric than most paranormal board horror stories. Like how I mentioned creepypastas earlier, it feels like an early one before the genre was bloated with trash. I have a problem X. Recently I bought this wooden owl at an estate sale and weird shit started to happen after I bought it. Whenever I go near the owl, the temperature around me drops dramatically. I've been seeing weird shadow movements late at night too. How do I get rid of this fucker safely? For context, the estate sale was in a house of a 95-year-old priest that recently passed. The owl is made in Japan according to the carving underneath it. The picture is of the owl. This was another one that had a really weird image to accompany the story that really put me on edge. Owls are one of the coolest and creepiest birds out there, and this soul-staring statue grabbed my attention. In Japanese culture, owls are usually a symbol of good luck, but there are some negative spirits attached to the bird. The statue itself is most likely a Shu Sugi Ben wood owl. if I pronounced that wrong, I'm very sorry, which are just small wooden owl figurines carved all over Japanese cultures. The OP's figure and the wood owls I found being sold on Etsy aren't identical, but they are very similar, both being carved of wood, featuring the same eyes and the same bumps all over the body. Now, whether or not this owl is haunted would be impossible to tell, of course. Temperature dropping is classic ghost behavior, but is just easy enough to slip into a fake 4chan story to add a common spectral habit. I don't think this is real, of course, especially since I was able to track down pretty much the exact figurine on Etsy. Although I don't think the Etsy seller would tell you if it's haunted or not, so I guess buying one is the only way to find out. Be 3 years old, standing in the living room next to leather sofa. For no apparent reason, think to myself, I will remember this moment. Still do. Now, I'm sure this is something we've all done consciously or subconsciously in a way, just forcing a memory one time by thinking, I will never forget this, and you just never do. Unfortunately, I couldn't think of a very specific example at the time of writing, but one of my earliest memories is so weird. The only thing I remember was I was standing in line at preschool and I looked around the wall and that was it, but I remember it so vividly, it reminded me so much of this post.
For me, oddly enough, I do have a specific memory of this exact occurrence. This was when I couldn't have been older than 8 or 9, but I was at my Nana's house and I specifically remember telling myself that for some reason I would never forget this moment that I was in. All it was me standing by her counter with my head laying on it while I was looking at her dog. That's it. It's super unremarkable, but that's what makes it so interesting and was why I found this post so intriguing. I never really considered that other people did this too, it was just some weird thing I did when I was a kid. If any of you have ever had this occurrence happen to you, we'd love to hear about it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe, and check out all of our other 4chan deep dives. They are in a very convenient playlist. If you like the channel, make sure to check out our social medias. They are going to be all in the description below. Make sure to stop by our Discord, please. It's the best place to chat with us and hang with fellow debunk enthusiasts. Of course, if you'd like to support the channel a little bit more, head on over to our Patreon, Debunk Plus. Only $1 a month and you guys get access to videos early, script PDFs, whatever random stuff we decide to put up, and more. As always, my name is Sep from Debunk File. See you guys next time. Bye.